hour, with a northerly wind blowing from 20 to even 30 miles per hour. With CBS 3, I'm Dave Anderson for 710 and FM 98.1 WDSM.
More information, go to Navy.mil, Navy.mil/underway, and Navy.mil/app.
AM 710 and FM 98.1.
Understand it, analyze it, and determine what's fact, what may not be fact. We already know that the part about the coverage that they have on him with sex actions is supposed to be true.
My focus today is to explore how many claims within Steele's dossier are looking more and more likely as though they are accurate. The dossier definitely seems right on these points. A quid pro quo relationship seems to exist between the Trump campaign and Putin's Russia.
There's a lot of the dossier that is yet to be proven, but increasingly, as we'll hear throughout the day, allegations are checking out.
The famous dossier, which is getting a lot more credibility now than it did.
Well, I think that's important, right? That the dossier, right, which looked sort of out there at first, is getting truer and truer and truer as facts come out.
The Clinton campaign apparently conducted opposition research, as every campaign does, on their opponent. They got back, apparently, this very salacious and now infamous dossier, which they never used. In fact, didn't even reach the press until after the election was over. They never used it.
What I have learned, I've heard about the dossier, it's about his involvement with women. It's about possibly prostitutes.
We were able to corroborate in our intelligence community assessment, which from other sources in which we had very high confidence.
So when the president just refers to it as fake dossier, that is false.
I don't think that's the accurate characterization for the entirety of the dossier.
Jared Kushner or anybody else who met with a Russian in the last year, he knows it all. It's all. If he had a little excitement in some hotel room in Moscow, I spent years ago according to that dossier, he's got those pictures, he's looked at them a million times.
That said, well, we do want to hear from Christopher Steele. So far, a lot of what he has alleged in the dossier has been proven.
We reported a number of weeks ago that the intelligence community had, in fact, confirmed some of the elements in the dossier, including the particular meetings and conversations detailed in the dossier took place in the places and at the times as described there. So it directly contradicts the president, who has repeated from the beginning that the dossier, like many parts of the Russia investigation, is a hoax.
All right, 23 now till the top of the hour. So there you have all these Democrats, all of them, going on and the media pushing the Steele dossier. Rachel Maddow, Maxine Waters, and Andre Carson, Chris Matthews, Paul Begala, Donnie Deutsch, James Clapper, and it goes on from there. Non-stop. They just go with it. They wanted to believe every salacious detail that was paid for, that was made up by the Russians. Oh, I guess they're colluding to help get Hillary Clinton elected and impact the election, and Hillary funded the whole entire thing. Thor Halvorsen is with us, and he's the CEO of the New York-based Human Rights Foundation, and he's here to shed some light on Fusion GPS, with whom he had a previous interaction with and dealings with that were pretty much unspeakable. He says they are smear artists, he said, and what they've learned is if you want to kill an investigation, if you want to destroy a law enforcement investigation, go after the witnesses, go after the whistleblowers. Oh, shocking. Now, he also testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee in July of this year against Fusion GPS, which of course they're not going to testify before anybody, and they're fighting a congressional subpoena. Thor, sir, welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me on your program, Sean.
All right, let's talk about what you know about Fusion GPS. Tell us how you got involved, what you know, and what people need to know.
Sure. Well, how I get into this this was accidentally. I was made aware of a massive government contract fraud that was taking place in the dictatorship of Venezuela. In other words, someone gave me information about a theft of $3 billion that took place in the Chavez government in Venezuela. Okay. So I took the information. I thought it was outrageous. A bunch of guys in their 20s were awarded power plant contracts to build these power plants in Venezuela. And they built faulty power plants and walked off with the money. So I figured I would write about this circumstance in the United States and alert the authorities, and as much as the stolen Venezuelan money was being laundered through American banks. Well, to make a long story short, the target of my investigation, the people that I was blowing the whistle on, ended up hiring Fusion GPS. They hired Fusion GPS to go after those of us who had been talking about this investigation, talking about this company, pointing out their crimes. And what Fusion GPS did for them, in the case of 4 different people, they couldn't come up with anything tangible about us that was negative, so they just simply made it up. And they created these dossiers, pretty similar, each of these dossiers, making the same allegations over and over again. Salacious allegations of outrageous conduct that range from extortion and rape to drug abuse and pedophilia. And then they shot these dossiers around to the media. So whereas we are trying to expose a crime, they figured, here's what we'll do to eliminate the whistleblowers. Here's what we'll do to go after them. Let's create dossiers and accuse them of all sorts of horrible things.
I read Catherine Herridge's piece and Pam Brown's piece on FoxNews.com, and what's amazing about this is that you're saying that they have a track record of intimidation and smear tactics, but it's beyond that, because in your congressional testimony and your first-hand account here, you're saying that they labeled you a pedophile, an extortionist, a drug trafficker, because you criticized one of their clients. Now, how do you know that they did all of this?
Okay, well, it starts off with the fact that their clients were being investigated by the Wall Street Journal. As you know, the Wall Street Journal is a serious outfit. They were doing an investigation. They were writing a story. The story was 4,000 words long. How do I know the story was that long? Because the reporter and I were in touch constantly. We were sharing information. I was telling him about what was going on. Before you know it, the reporter was asked to visit Venezuela and meet with the men who he was writing about. When he gets to Venezuela, into the conference room of these guys who stole billions of dollars, there's one of the partners of Fusion GPS sitting in the conference room. He also happens to be formerly the bureau chief for Latin America for the Wall Street Journal. In other words, the reporter walks into the room, and there's his former boss, who's now a partner at Fusion GPS, saying to him, all of these allegations are lies, these are good men, they're just excellent businessmen, they earned these billions and billions of dollars, and you're being played. Here's a dossier about the men who are feeding you information. Don't ask me how I know that they are the ones feeding you information, but I do know that here's the dossier. That's the first time I heard the word Fusion GPS. When the Wall Street Journal says to me, I can't believe my former boss is working for them. By the way, they gave me a file on you. That's the first time I learned, and of course after that I started learning more and more about them.
Did you get the file that they had made on you?
No. The reporter read it to me. I know what it contained, but he did not give me a copy. I think the Wall Street Journal has internal...
Because I think it was based on what you're saying that you'd have a lawsuit here. If you just can't make up out of whole cloth that somebody's a pedophile, an extortionist, and a drug trafficker. I mean, you're in the right neighborhood. I can't really tell you what I'm doing next, but let's just say that subsequent to this, the Wall Street Journal did nothing with this. In fact, the reporter in the journal said, this is full of, this stuff is hot air, we're not going to pay any attention to it, we're going to keep doing our story. But then they kept shopping it around. And Sean, they found an out-of-work journalist in Washington, D.C.
see someone who's been dismissed from job after job by the name